We are the voices of experiencers because we are the experiencers. It's time for disclosure and it's time for truth because truth brings powerful transformation. And we are the voices of change. We are about evolution on an expansive level, living life without fear and becoming the bridge between two different realities. Profound evolution is here. Profound integration is here. This is the Voices of Contact. Hi, everyone. I'm Mary. I'm a channeler and psychic medium. I'm also a hypnosis regressionist for ET experiencers, and I work with MUFON doing regression work. I also work with PTSD experiencers, paranormal experiencers, and victims of crime to assist them in recall. I'm really looking forward to another amazing show tonight with our panel. I just want to say to you guys that the work that you're doing here with me is so impactful. Like literally, it's life-changing. And I thank you for being a part of it and being here with me. It means more than you realize to me as well as the listeners. So, allow me to introduce some of my most favorite people. First, we have Deb and RJ DeRoos. They're authors, paranormal UFO researchers, and they're experiencers themselves. And they also are the founders of the Michigan UFO Contact that happens every year in Houghton Lake, Michigan at the end of September. They're owners and managers of Mystical Awakenings Radio, Mystical Awakening Podcast on the YouTube channel, and at the Mystical Awakenings Metaphysical Store in Houghton Lake, Michigan. Next, we have the fabulous and well-loved Michael Carter. He is a lifetime UFO contactee, author of Alien Scriptures, Extraterrestrials, and the Holy Bible. He's also a regular consultant on the History Channel's Ancient Aliens series and the Travel Channel's UFO Lost Evidence series, as well as being featured in several UFO documentaries. Last but definitely not least, we have our amazing new panelist, Deborah Jordan Cabo. She was the central figure in Bud Hopkins' international bestseller, Intruders, The Incredible Visitations at Copley Woods, which was actually made into a CBS miniseries in 1992. She's co-author of the book Abducted, The Story of the Intruders Continues, and author of Extraordinary Contact, Life Beyond Intruders. She's a former Indiana MUFON investigator and co-founder of her own paranormal group, Paranormal Underground, and host of the Midwest Paratalk podcast. With the amazing panel that we have tonight, I know that anything is possible. And we are going to get down deep into discovery and answers to what's actually really happening out there. This show is all about transmutating the light from the dark and replacing fear with knowledge. Through my regression work, I have come across amazing cases with some amazing clients. It is my passion to work with them and to help them have a better understanding of the contact they've had. Whether they were taken, have had contact in the physical realm, or through a dream state. I'm grateful that my clients have agreed to allow me to use their regressions on the Voices of Contact. Tonight, this is the place to be because the panel breaks down the experiences, providing powerful feedback. I love it because all the listeners get to learn and connect, and the person that I regressed walks away even more immersed in the experience with a new perspective on their contact. Literally, it's a win-win, right? This is the Voices of Contact.
Hi, everyone. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Good.
Been a while.
Mary. Hi, Deb. Hi, Michael.
Hey, y'all.
Welcome
Good
back,
to
Michael.
see you guys.
Thank you, brother. It's been a journey.
Yes.
Michael's
Indeed.
back.
Been a journey.
I've missed you all since Michigan UFO Contact.
I didn't realize it was so long ago.
I know. It
was
seems
so
like forever
wonderful.
ago.
Yeah.
We were able to hug and
Hang out.
Yes. Now next year.
and be bad.
Yeah, we have to wait a year.
We'll have to make it sooner than a year.
I know. Well, if I had it in me, we'd do it twice a year, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
All right. So for tonight's show, we have a woman that I regressed, and she regressed to when she was a young girl, and I think it was to like 1965. And she remembers standing in her front yard and seeing a craft. So for the first clip that I'm going to play, that's what she's going to talk about, is standing out there and seeing this huge craft in her yard. So give me one moment.
Now you're going to go back in time, and we're going to go back to that time, 65 on Wilson Street. I want you to look around and describe what you see for me. What's happening around you?
I'm looking at the craft. It seems like it's like round with a very tall dome. I'm not sure where my mom is. I know that she told me she saw it, but I don't see her here.
What else is happening around you?
There's a door in the side of the craft. It's open.
All right, what I'd like you to do is move a little bit closer to that door.
You always stop at the good parts.
That's the point. And with this, just a little bit of background. I feel like she's been a lifelong experiencer, but with no real memory. When she came to me, she just had a little bit of clips of memory, and she was finally ready to explore what happened all those years back. So this was a first time regression for her, but it was also a first time of actually exploring little, clippets of memory that she had.
Okay. And she was probably, what, about 8 or something?
Yeah, she wasn't very old.
Yeah. So that had to be pretty terrifying. But she did not remember seeing the craft, or she did remember?
She had little clippets of memory, and what really triggered her is, I think, like a couple of years ago, her mom had started talking about, because if you remember hearing her, she said, I don't see my mom here, but I know she said she saw it. She remembered her mom a couple of years ago started talking about it, and it started bringing up old memories for her.
Okay.
Well, first, 1965, some of us can remember that. I was 10.
I can't.
It was a great time for music. Beatlemania had started, and
I was 7.
yeah, it was just awesome. So good times in the 60s for sure. Although we had some rough times going on in the country, but it was a good time to grow up. And the talk of UFOs was starting to get really heated up.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was starting to, but you were still crazy if you said you saw something, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It seemed like it. The cover up was, obviously in '47, and then it got to be a little more during the '60s, because obviously we had civil rights movement, war in Vietnam was going on,
Cold War.
and King and Bobby were starting to make the headlines. Bobby Kennedy. So it was a lot of stuff that was the natural distractions.
Yeah.
My sister had a big event in 1965. My older sister, she was 11. She was 11. She's 11 years older than me. So, but it was in 1965. Where did this take place? Did you say?
She didn't say. She just named the street that she was on, and I think it could have been Wilson Street, something like that.
It was in Michigan.
Yeah, what state? Michigan?
I'm assuming Michigan, because she lives in Michigan, but that's just an assumption. So
yeah,
right, yeah.
And that 65 was a time I was just a little bit kid, but we lived in a neighborhood, and my dad had a ham radio tower against the house, and him and some of the neighbors used to climb up on the roof and look for UFOs because they were seeing them. They were hearing about them in that area. And I just wondered, this was in Indianapolis, so one state down, but so I was just curious.
So 1965 could have been a big year for sightings. I know it goes way back, but maybe that was a big year.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't know if this is sure, that might have been the year that one came across Michigan and thousands of people saw it, and it eventually crashed in Pennsylvania. and was retrieved by the military. And eyewitnesses came out later about that they had recovered people in the craft. Yeah, it was. I can't name it.
Is it Kecksburg?
Yes. I think it was 65. Was that 65?
I'm not exactly sure, but
But my parents saw that because we were coming back from downtown. We had gone out to eat. I fell asleep and I just heard my mother, "Oh my God, Larry, what is that?" And it was just shining the whole sky up. So, yeah, thousands of people saw it. But yeah, 65 was if I remember correctly, the pretty busy year.
December 9th, 1965.
Yep.
Yeah. And she was so young. You know, you have to wonder, was that like the beginning of sightings for her or experiences for her? Or had she been seeing them even before that?
I think she even recalled that, part of the memories that came back up where she remembers after it happened, her mom calling the police.
Oh, wow.
And because it freaked her mom out, her mom wasn't really sure what it was. And then her dad called back and canceled it out.
Because, oh my God, what are people going to think?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like she saw a lot of detail on the craft.
Yeah.
She did. And so, like, in this next clip coming up, I have her move closer to the craft. And she does. She describes what it looks like, and she describes what she sees inside. So give me 1 second here.
Nice.
I want to say there are a lot of buttons. I don't see any aliens right at the moment. Metal reminds me of aluminum, but it's not aluminum. It's kind of a pewter color. But I don't know what it's made out of. I mean, it's some sort of metal, but...
What are you going to do next?
I'm going to go inside, but I'm afraid.
Well, I want you to know that you're not experiencing this. You're just an observer. So you just tell me what you're seeing, but you don't have to experience it again. And that you're safe to walk into the craft if you want to. Do you want to?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so move into the craft, and I want you to look around and tell me what you see.
There's an alien here, but he doesn't want to be seen.
Now that's interesting.
Uh-huh. It gets better.
Doesn't want to be seen, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of buttons.
We talked about this before, that I think the rules were a little different back then. Don't you think so, maybe? As far as the way, I don't want to call it abductions, but experiences happened. Things were done differently than they are today. I don't know. And it seems that way to me anyway, that there was different rules back then. Because I believe, our government knew it was going on, and I think back the Eisenhower days, they made an agreement that they could do it. So, but I just think the rules were different. Does that make sense? I mean,
Yeah, I'm RJ. I'm thinking, what rules are you talking about for us, for them,
for them, and what they could reveal and what they could do? I think there was more. They could do pretty much what they wanted to back then, even though they were told not to. And I think the rules got stricter, and the ways to do it got different, a little less evasive. I just have that feeling. It's my opinion, but it was to me, it was a little more scarier back then. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, it wasn't talked about, for one thing.
Yeah.
It was still very taboo, still very unknown. And what's more, scary than the unknown at least today we talk about it. But I'm thinking that, you know, different beings also do things in a different way. And we don't know yet who they were.
Isn't it funny? She said that there was one there that didn't want to be known, and how she knew that at that age. You know that. Oh, you know, get her out of here. She's not supposed to see me. Must that's a deal.
Yeah, how
I
she
don't-
got the impression that he didn't want to be seen by her. Yeah.
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 It's kind of strange.
He may have hidden, but she may not have gotten that impression as a little girl. She may be getting that
No.
impression observing now.
Yeah,
True.
because you know, if there's a ship and you walk in, just by default, you're going to see something.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, what can you say? You
Yeah.
know, you're not going to go on the ship and see nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how common would it be to just be able to walk up to a ship and walk in, unless you were, you know, they seem most races seem to show up where and when they want with a purpose. So if they didn't want her on that ship, I wouldn't think, you know, she would be able to just.
Right. And I think there's always that natural fear of, if I get in, are you going to bring me back? And I trust you. I think people would have that as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Who let that little girl on the ship?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody opened the door.
Yeah. Somebody opened the door.
Right. So I'm thinking that door was open for a reason and for her to walk in, and wondering, you know, maybe we'll hear a little bit more. She may have been guided in there or even taken in there.
You know,
Right.
I was just making light of it. You know, that's all.
Yeah.
So for this next clip, she actually goes inside and she explores the ship and she describes some of her surroundings.
Nice.
There's an alien here, but he doesn't want to be seen. He's like off to the side. It's like it's more important to him that I explore the ship. Which is, I don't know, it's so cliche, buttons and all that.
All right, well, let's explore the ship and then we'll come back to the alien, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What else do you notice?
There's these cabinets. Looking in them, they seem like filters. They're tall, thin cabinets, and if you open them up, you can pull out it's almost like a carbon filter, like a filter on your furnace.
What else do you notice about the ship?
It reminds me of a linoleum, I don't know.
How does it feel underneath your feet?
It's cold.
Strange, isn't it?
I
What else is around you?
think there's small aliens. It's kind of strange because at first when I looked, the aliens seem to be tall, but now as I'm in the craft, there seem to be smaller aliens and more of them than the tall one.
Are there several?
Yes, I would say 3 or 4 maybe.
Right, but they look like for me.
Rounded heads. They're like a greenish gray.
I always find it interesting because this is a pattern. This is typical where you always have that taller one who doesn't want to talk to anybody. And then you always have, I kind of think of them in my head as the worker bees, the ones who are there to do the work or make that actual contact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys in your research have found that the smaller grays, some of them are maybe even robotic-like. Uh, they're more AI or synthetic, whatever, and they said that they're there to do like you said, Mary, the worker bee work, and but you do hear that. I mean, I've heard that from several people, and the same thing. So, yeah, a typical situation that someone else is explaining.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard that too. And then some of them are more robotic and um, seem to be devoid of emotion. And then there are some who, there's another demographic
Yeah, yeah,
that are, have seem to have empathy and communicate. So it seems to be a variety
yeah,
of intelligences.
yeah. Like
All of them are.
yeah, like your Ebens, Deb, that you were talking about. Um,
In my head, when she was describing that, the word overseer kept popping in my mind. Like, and I've heard that before, where the person having the experience might have contact with one of them, but there's like an overseer in the background who kind of watches what everyone's doing and doesn't really get involved, just watches. I always talked to, well, didn't talk, but in the head with one of them, but they all kind of look the same to me. But that's not, what I hear more commonly is there's varying sizes. The smaller
And sometimes
ones.
you have two different races working
Yeah.
together.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I've even heard, people that have seen the grays and the reptilian or the mantis together. I think
Yeah.
my older sister had a scene. Her main contact was with the mantis type, a tall one. But then the gray but the gray was also taller. But those were the two at the same time with her. So not with me. I've
Yeah,
never seen the mantis part. I don't remember anyway.
yeah. And sometimes you see Palladians or Nordics with the grays as well. So yeah, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But are some of the grays greenish gray?
Mhm.
I've heard that too. I've heard people say greenish gray, gray, pale. Mine was super pale, almost like real pale.
Yeah.
Not even gray almost. Some people are more like beige,
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
whitish
Yeah.
color.
Yeah,
I've
there's
heard
several
all of them.
different.
Sometimes I
colors.
wonder if it's the lighting that you see them in too. I mean, because some of the memories I have are it's really dim and the lighting is low, and I may, maybe sometimes the lighting in the where you're at has something to do with the color people describe also.
Right. Well, I've heard, like the blue gray quite often, and I'm wondering if it's the same being, just looks a little, a little different.
Yeah, even the eyes. I always wonder why the eyes are bigger because like you said, Deb, the lighting's dimmer a lot of times, and maybe they pick up more light through the bigger eyes.
I wondered that as well, and also I've had people point out to me they thought that the actual black eyes that people like me remember are actually like sunglasses,
Yeah.
almost removable, and then the eye underneath of it people describe as like a golden cat eye with
Right.
a kind of a slit for a pupil and
Yeah.
a more of a golden color.
Yeah.
And I actually drew a picture of something like that. I had a memory of a dream about, I should say. I don't know if
I'd love to see that because you're a good
I dreamed
artist.
about it. Looked like an alien, like a gray, but it had big gold eyes with the cat looking pupils.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had that brought to my, people are like, I think that's just an eye covering for protection. I'm like, I don't know what it is. They didn't tell me.
Right. Yeah, we don't know. And we don't know how many different races there are out there, or how many different grays there are.
And again, space travel, they're saying humans, once we get out and there's no gravity, our muscles deteriorate. And unless they have they have some kind of a ship that produces their own gravity, an exoskeleton body like a mantis, and or a synthetic body like some of the grays would probably be more conducive to space travel, in my opinion. So
I just wonder why they wanted her to see the ship. I mean, that's to me a little unusual because most of the time when people are getting abducted, they're kind of restrained and they're having stuff done to them. I've heard it before, but I don't hear too many people saying they were just left to wander around the ship and look at things. I mean, Travis Walton, I think, said that, but I don't think it was intended for him to do that on purpose.
Right.
I think he took off.
Right.
So that kind of intrigues me a little bit that
Mm-hmm.
they want her to see the ship. Why
Right.
they want her to learn how to fly it? What's going on with there? I want to know.
Like they were encouraging her to
inquiring
look
minds want to
around.
know.
Or maybe she was a pilot in the past life.
You guys are so good at guessing my next clip. I'm telling you, the whole conversation. So we'll just have to see how it unfolds.
We're catching on to you, Mary.
I know you got my number.
We're all
now.
psychic.
So on this next clip, she describes more of what the smaller ETs look like. So give me 1 second.
What else do you notice about the face?
They have small features for the mouth and the nose. Very small, almost non-existent.
Look at their bodies and tell me what you notice about their bodies.
The most standout part is that one of them has like 3 fingers, like they're not 5. They have 3. They're not as bony. They're a little thicker. They seem to be wearing suits. They suit kind of more like a mechanic's suit, kind of, but they're like gray color.
Do you notice anything else about the suit?
There's no decoration or anything on them.
They're just plain old suits?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to move closer to them and ask them what they're doing there.
Not
Another
the first time we've
cliffhanger.
heard about those suits either.
No.
Nope. I recall suit neck to toe, all one piece, and people used to say, that's impossible. How did they get it over their heads? Their heads are so big. How they get that neck hole? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't ask them how they get dressed.
Yeah, maybe they don't put it over their heads.
I wasn't
Maybe they
thinking about maybe
step
they're
into
made
it.
with it on there. I don't know.
Now, there's a clip. We talked about this, Deb, you and I. They call them Evens, the ones that crashed in Roswell. And they wear a black suit. They're about 3.5 feet tall, 4 foot, whatever. But there's a clip of them in Russia, supposedly, walking along. And I don't know. I couldn't find that clip to send you, I think. But anyway, if you ever get a chance to see it, they have a black suit on, and I'm like you. Their head's pretty big compared to the body, but somehow they got that on there. Maybe George Chestnut style, just coming through, put it on. But yeah. So in any picture if you see of Ebens, you see him with the one color black suit on, and it's very tight fitting. But this clip that you see, they're walking with the soldiers. Their eyes are blinking just like you and I. It's pretty convincing. I mean, I don't know how anybody could fake that. It's black and white, and a lot of people said that it's authentic. So if you ever get a chance to look that up, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I will for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think anything can be faked, but that's,
And no, it's
That's
true.
me.
It's true.
Yeah,
That's why
yeah.
it's so hard to.
Mhm.
A friend of mine was talking to Stephen Greer about 3 days ago, trying to get a project that he's trying to work on, and And Stephen Greer said to him, because my friend has some footage, and Stephen Greer was very, very clear that he was not. He had to be really clear that this was authentic, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And right now you can, that's some of what the actors are going through in the strike, that with AI, you can mix and match anything. And this is even before this technology. And, and anything can be. I see so many things I want to post, but I don't want to do it. And sometimes I posted some stuff that maybe I said, oh man, I shouldn't have done that, because you just don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
And in the community, when you do that once or twice, and your reputation is that either you're gullible or you're just disinformation.
Right.
You have to be really careful with what you're saying is authentic. It can look very real, and it could be just fake in order to make you part of disinformation.
Yeah.
Right.
I usually don't do it. I err on the side of caution.
Right. Yeah, and it puts everybody in a difficult position, because there may be some clips out there that are not fake, but how do we know?
Right, and that's
How
the
do
whole
you
thing with
trust?
disinformation. Yeah, yeah.
The one thing I can say, though, is that the information on how they look, how they dress, how they behave, even right down to mannerisms. There's been, reports around the world from different experiencers experiencing the exact same sightings.
Oh, no
the same
question. I'm with you, Deb.
content.
I'm just talking about, going on and looking at footage.
Yeah.
Right.
You
You
can look at stuff and go, boy, that really looks interesting, but I wouldn't go out of my way and say that's authentic.
No.
You gotta make it personal, make your own call.
The technology is really sophisticated.
Yeah.
You're going to need a 4-year college degree in computer imaging and graphics in order to even come close to investigating these videos and photographs today, because it's getting to the point where photographic evidence is going to be not carry the weight that it used to.
Right. Yeah.
But I always say this, when it comes to UFOs or Bigfoot or anything, you've got 499 or 500,000 videos of a flying saucer. If one of them is real, that's all it takes. If one of them is real, that means they're there. Just like the Bigfoot thing. I mean, there's a lot of fake ones out there.
Just like when I win the lottery, it only takes one set of numbers. It might as well be mine.
That's right. So, I mean, let's say, you got to be your own judge of that. And of course, a lot of them get debunked, and you just got to pay attention. So,
and I'm a big skeptic, so I don't trust anything.
I think you can err on the side of caution. I mean, the point I was trying to make, that even Stephen Greer, as experienced as he is saying to my friend, you really need to give me some proof before I put my energy into working with you.
My reputation.
Yeah. And that being said, do we believe that they are there, that there is somewhere some film footage? Yeah, I mean, if we didn't, we wouldn't be here, because we've all experienced it. We've seen them with our own eyes. But you do have to be very cautious and skeptical of anything out there.
All right. So for this last clip, she gets into more about talking with the ETs to see why they're there.
They're coming to see me.
Why are they coming to see you?
They're checking on my progress. They're monitoring, like, my health and development.
Why are they monitoring your health and development?
It's special to them physically that I'm one of them.
So it's like they created you?
Yes.
Why did they create you?
Just to see how, if I could withstand the earth.
What did she say at the end? If she could withstand the earth?
Yeah.
Yeah, so part of it what I left out, because in the excuse me, in the regression, it cut out. They they were checking to see if is it, I don't know if it's the right word, the biometrics of the body. And so, she's a part of them, and they're seeing how well her body can withstand the energy and the fluctuations that come with Earth, to see if they could ever come here and stay as well. If their type of body could survive here on Earth.
So is
And
she a
so
hybrid then?
yes, yeah. Because in the clip she said she's a part of them, and they're using her to see how well she withstands the energy of Earth and adapts and adjusts.
Well, that would certainly explain why she walked up and went in the door.
See, I told you, you guys out. You always miss my clip.
Now, she's been there before.
She's been
Yeah.
there before. She's from there. She's
Excuse
a
me.
part of them. And, that also explains why, as a little girl around 7, 8 years old, she doesn't seem terrified.
No. Yeah.
Curious, but not terrified. And possibly that explains why they are allowing her to examine the ship, open the cupboards, things like that.
And if you guys stay tuned for next week's episode, it'll talk more about why they want her to be so familiar with the ship. So,
Nice.
you guys do it every time. Tell
I
her.
already know.
You'd almost think we had a little insight in
I
how
know.
extraterrestrials might work. I don't know. But it's pretty interesting. How that comes out, especially someone who really didn't know if they were an experiencer, thought maybe they had seen something or had something happen, but didn't really know.
Mm-hmm.
And then to find out, oh, I'm part of them.
Well, they probably had a lot of those things that you have in your book, Michael, about that tell somebody that they might not be from here.
Mm-hmm.
They feel like they don't belong here, and that list you have in that one book.
Yeah, those characteristics that some contactees have. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, and I relate to a lot of those myself. So, that's a good thing if you want to look up, and you might not know you're an experiencer, but if you feel these things, and there's a whole list of them.
Yeah, they can give you clues.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember reading that and thinking, a lot of these things I knew when I was little.
Mm-hmm. And with
I
her,
felt exactly that way.
I thought she made the comment about them checking her biometrics or whatever to see if she could tolerate the Earth, living here on this planet and stuff. It made me go back to when I had that dream, which is what I refer to it as, when I saw the little girl, that I was presented that little girl who would probably be 47 years old now. But she said, I said, can I take her with me? And he told me, no, she can't. She wouldn't survive with you. You couldn't
Right.
feed her. But that was, like I said, 40 odd years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm quite sure things have changed now for her and them and everything else. But when you mentioned that, it triggered that memory in me, and it rang true. For me,
Right.
there was concern about them surviving on this planet, the hybrids.
Yeah. Well, you can imagine if you're from someplace and you're a very advanced, more advanced race than we are, and your planet is just clean and the environment is, pristine and there's no pollution. To come here, I mean, it'd be like you walk into a room where you're very sensitive to odors and different scents, and you would start sneezing, you would start whatever like, wow, this is not good. So they would have to have a hybrid system where they have a body like ours that's used to it. I guess that's one of the amazing things about the human body, our particular bodies, is that we can adapt to a lot of different things, is what I've read. So
Yeah, so maybe that's why there were so many things going on in the 1965 and around that time, is they were trying to get the hybrids here.
Or get them tweaked till it works
Yeah.
right.
Right. Yeah, they were really working on that whole system, and
and this started back in the 50s, I think, Michael. I would guess that the hybrid system was probably okayed and the contracts were made and it was do this. And
Well,
it might have been a lot of us when we were here born. It might have been a lot of us.
the hybridization program has been going on since before biblical times.
Right. But I mean, like a step up, a new fluctuation of coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's been going on for thousands of years.
Oh yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But what I was meaning was during that time, they were trying to, okay, so we have hybrids. We have beings who are part human and part other races. Now let's start incorporating them into their planet.
Well, and it may be this, gang. I'm just saying it. We don't want to say all of them were doing that. I mean, there may have been races who are already living here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like when I
Yeah.
go back and look at the Bible, I look at Genesis, right? And before you get out of Genesis, it looks like there's three different, from Genesis 1 to Genesis 11. It looks like there's three different cataclysms, and that there were waves of ETs coming here. That that some were more advanced, some. Whereas this race may be trying to adapt here, there may have been other races who already had that going on, but that they probably already had people living here. So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that
exactly.
it wasn't just they. It was probably different races at different times adapting here, because they've been coming here for so long, and some may have been a little more advanced than others. The technology may have been, because it's so many different races. So it's not really a they. These greenish gray folks may have been trying to adapt where a reptilian race had already done that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there were people probably already living here
Yeah.
who had already mastered that. Like we have different technology than China, and we have different, and China may have different from South Africa. So I think we got to keep that in mind as well.
Right.
And who knows,
point.
since the Industrial Revolution, since all that smoke started piling out of the smokestacks, maybe they had to do a little tweaking. I don't know. It's a possibility to upgrade their hybrid system to where they could, it's just a thought. I'm not saying that's true, but just a thought. Because our environment has changed and our technology is a little lacking in being environmental friendly.
Right.
All right. Well, that's all we have for tonight's show. So stay tuned
Good
for
one.
next week as we continue on with the rest of her story.
I have to wait a week to see you guys again. I just can't.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
can't wait.
It'll seem like a few minutes.
Okay.
It'll only seem like a few minutes, RJ.
Okay. Well, I feel better now.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It
Exactly.
does.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yeah.
Have a
Great,
good night,
great
you guys.
show. Thanks.
Yeah,
Mhm.
bye.
Bye.